are very few people of a certain age who don't know who Ronald McDonald is. But do you remember, say, the Hamburglar, Grimace, or Mayor McCheese? These iconic characters from McDonald's are beloved by a generation of fast food fans.
As Maury Glover shows us in tonight's Maury Stories, a couple of collectors have found a way to keep some of their favorite childhood memories alive.
Mostly stuff from my childhood, stuff that I wanted and I never could have.
In an ordinary-looking house in Minnetonka, there are some extraordinary pieces from the past.
This is one of my favorites, Cabbage Patch Kid, who looks like a middle-aged white guy.
Christine Pogue collects everything from 80s era watches.
And here's some of my swatches. I collect the buttons, too. I have a bunch of watches in here, loose in here.
To 8-track tapes.
I have Duran Duran signed by the original Arena, the original 5, and when they've seen these, they just were like, oh my God!
But her most interesting collection of throwbacks are the ones that populate her backyard.
The Mayor McCheese was my first one in my collection, and I had him redone recently.
Pogue says she started collecting characters from old McDonald Land playgrounds 30 years ago.
So this is Officer Big Mac. He's probably the most iconic other than Ronald.
Because she fell in love with them as a kid.
It just makes me think of a time that I was carefree and things were easy.
Now she has about 30 vintage statues and retired pieces of playground equipment.
So this is a Grimace bounce cage. What you can do is it shakes. It's got springs underneath. And it shakes right now. It's a wood collector for me since I had tree damage.
Scattered around the pool behind her house.
A lot of laughter and just makes me smile and happy that makes other people remember something from their childhood or their past.
Ronald McDonald. McDonald Land is a fantasy world inhabited by Ronald McDonald and his friends, used to market the fast food giant to kids in the 70s and 80s. In addition to appearing in commercials, McDonald's managers added the characters to their restaurants and playgrounds to entice kids to stay longer so they would eat and drink more with their parents.
I read somewhere, and I'd have to find the citation, that McDonald's at one time was the second largest playground operator in the country because they had playgrounds everywhere. So there's a snapshot in time that I think Generation X can appreciate, that this was part of marketing, part of, even before Happy Meals, there was McDonald's playground characters.
Tom Osmond was a regular at one of those playgrounds in West St. Paul growing up.
Back as a kid, McDonald's and the McDonald's characters and the playground that was in West St. Paul, that was a bridge to a lot of different joy, birthday parties. Everyone has fond memories of that. This is the Mayor McCheese roundabout, and yeah, it goes pretty fast, and you don't want to do this too often.
And just like Pogue,
so I test myself every few months or so, make sure I can still do this.
He has made it his mission to recreate those childhood memories.
Everything looks great up here. It's better than a drone.
By collecting as many of the playground characters as he can.
Part of it is the adventure. Every one of these pieces came from a different state, and they all have a different story of someone that had it and how they got it. Some are rather charming, some are very interesting.
So far, Osmond has about a half dozen in his backyard in Maplewood.
Big Mac, after Big Mac, came from Arkansas.
And even more in his basement.
This is the rules of the playground, which I enforce very much so when people come over here.
Since the pandemic, he's been traveling the country to find, buy, and restore these pop culture icons.
When I see delivery people come up to the door here and they do a triple check, or they are laughing or taking pictures of themselves with it, that's fantastic, and that's what I like doing it.
The McDonald Land characters may have been made for children, but Osmond says you are never too old to clown around.
It's a playground for the big kids. It's been a lot of fun to take pictures here and have people take pictures with it, which I encourage, and want people to enjoy this place.
For Maury Stories, Maury Glover, Fox 9.
Spent hours in there playing in Tom's backyard.
I'm so glad they found a happy home.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, Happy Meal. Yeah. I remember going to birthday parties at McDonald's when I was a kid. I'm part of that generation.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, well, you didn't have a McDonald's close by.
And I didn't get invited to birthday parties.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Tom is enforcing the rules of the playground.
Yes.
Well, U.S. Bank Stadium is home to the Vikings, but